Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we re-diving deep into one of the most powerful stories ever told, the story of God, creation, and the destiny of humankind. Get ready for a journey that will challenge your mind and awaken your spirit. And today's story is titled Hinduism, the Eternal Harmony, the Cosmic Story of Creation, Gods, and Rebirth. Chapter 1. The Birth of the Sacred River. In the dawn before memory, when the world was only whisper and mist, a great silence lay over the land that would one day be called Bharata. The sky was a canvas of molten gold, and the rivers were still unborn, sleeping beneath the heart of the mountains. Then, from the breath of the eternal, the first sound rose Om. It was not a word, but a vibration, a pulse that rippled through the void, stirring existence itself. From that sacred resonance, the world awoke. Mountains heaved upward, forests burst into being, and the first winds danced across an infant earth. Among the peaks of the Himalayas, the snow began to melt, and from that melt flowed a single drop of divine essence, clear, pure, eternal. That drop became a river, and the river became a goddess, Ganga, the living stream of the divine. Her waters were said to cleanse not only the body but the soul, carrying the promise of rebirth and forgiveness. People gathered along her banks, their lives intertwined with her rhythm. They saw her as both mother and mirror, the reflection of the sacred order that governed all things. It was there, under the watchful gaze of the rising sun, that the first hymns were spoken. The Vedas, songs of cosmic truth whispered by sages who listened not with their ears, but with their spirits. These ancient seers, called rishis, spoke of a vast and endless reality beyond the senses. They said that all things, gods, men, rivers, and stars, were threads woven from the same eternal fabric. Tat Pham Asai, they declared. You are that. The divine is not beyond you, it is within you. And so, Hinduism was not born from conquest or prophecy, but from observation, the quiet revelation that the universe breathes, dreams, and remembers itself through all living things. As centuries passed, villages rose beside sacred rivers, and rituals took form, offerings of flowers, oil, and song to the unseen forces of creation. Fires burned in the dawn, symbolizing Agni, the god of flame, who carried prayers from earth to heaven. In the stillness of twilight, the people looked to the sky and named the forces that shaped their world: Indra, the lord of storms; Varuna, keeper of the cosmic order; Surya, the sun, whose light was both warmth and wisdom. Yet even above them all, there was something greater, something nameless, beyond the reach of myth. The rishis called it Brahman, the eternal reality, infinite and formless, from which all gods, all beings, and all dreams emerge and dissolve. Brahman was the breath behind creation, the silence between heartbeats, the unseen current flowing through existence itself. To the people who knelt by the river, life was not a straight line but a circle, a dance of beginnings and endings, births and deaths, dissolutions and rebirths. In their eyes, even destruction was sacred, for it made way for new creation. The elders would tell the children stories by the firelight tales of Brahma, the creator who shaped the cosmos from the lotus blooming from Vishnu's navel; of Vishnu, the preserver, who dreamed the universe into being; and of Shiva, the destroyer, who danced in the fire to end all things, only so they might begin again. And as those stories passed from one generation to the next, they became more than myths. They became reflections of the human soul. For within each person, the same forces lived: creation, preservation and destruction. Every birth was Brahma's act, every breath was Vishnu's dream, every death was Shiva's dance. As dusk fell over the plains of the Ganges, a young boy once asked his teacher, Guru, "Where does the river go when it disappears into the ocean?" The sage smiled and answered, "It does not go anywhere. It only returns to itself." And in that moment, the boy understood the essence of his people's faith, that the divine journey is not outward, but inward, not toward a distant heaven, but toward the center of being. The night deepened, and the stars mirrored themselves in the river's surface, countless points of light in the darkness, like souls drifting through the endless cycle of life and death. And the river flowed on, whispering the secret of existence to those who could still listen. All that is born shall die, and all that dies shall live again. For creation and destruction are one breath, the eternal rhythm of Brahman. Chapter 2: The Breath of Brahma. In the boundless silence before time began, there was only the infinite, still, undivided, and eternal. The sages called it Brahman, the breath behind existence. From that ocean of stillness, a single pulse of consciousness stirred, and within it, the first thought was born. That thought took form as Brahma, the creator, the mind of the cosmos, awakening to itself. Brahma opened his eyes, and from his breath came sound. From sound came vibration, and from vibration came creation. He saw the vast void before him and wondered, "Who am I?" From that question, the universe unfolded, for even the gods are born from curiosity. From the lotus, blooming upon the navel of Vishnu, Brahma rose, radiant with golden light. Around him, the endless waters shimmered with possibilities. He looked into their reflection and saw within them the shapes of stars, yet unborn, of worlds that would rise and fall in the cycles of time. He reached out, speaking the first mantra, Om. The sound spread across the nothingness, rippling through eternity. Wherever it passed, galaxies blossomed like sparks from a divine fire. The winds began to stir. The light awakened. Time began to move. Brahma breathed in, and the heavens formed. He breathed out, and the earth emerged. Every breath was an age, every exhale a universe expanding. But Brahma did not create alone. From his own being came the forces that would balance and complete him. From his body were born the 4 Vedas, the eternal scriptures, Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva, songs of wisdom, each a rhythm of the cosmic dance. From his mouth came speech, from his hands came strength, from his heart came compassion, and from his mind came knowledge. All these became the essence of humanity, a reflection of the divine order within the human soul. As Brahma shaped the world, he realized creation was endless. For every mountain he raised, a valley formed. For every star he kindled, a shadow followed. Creation and destruction were twins, bound together in eternal embrace. Thus, he understood that to create was to destroy, and to destroy was to make way for new creation. When Brahma's work was done, he looked upon his creation with both wonder and sorrow. "This world is beautiful," he said, "but impermanent. It shall die and be reborn again, forever." For in the heart of Hindu thought lies the truth that no beginning is final, and no end is absolute. The sages who listened to these ancient stories saw in Brahma's breath the mirror of their own lives. Each moment, they said, is a universe born when we wake, dissolved when we sleep. Within every inhalation and exhalation lies the same rhythm that moves the stars. To live, then, was not to conquer the world, but to move in harmony with its cycles. The wise did not fight death. They understood it as a return, a closing of the circle, a merging with the source. So they built temples not of stone, but of sound and meditation. They saw the divine not in distant heavens, but in the self, in the soul called Atman, a spark of Brahman hidden within. And when the body fell away, that spark would return to the fire of creation, only to be reborn again, new, yet eternal. Thus was born the law of samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The soul moves through countless lives, shaped by its actions, bound by its deeds, karma, the moral echo of existence. If a man lived with truth and compassion, his soul would rise closer to liberation, moksha, freedom from the endless wheel. But if he lived in greed or ignorance, his spirit would return again to learn, to struggle, to remember. The great sages said, "The universe is not a prison, but a school." We are all students of eternity, learning to remember who we are. Brahma, the first teacher, set this truth in motion. Yet even he was bound by time. For his day, one kalpa, lasts 1,000 ages of the gods. When that day ends, he sleeps, and all creation dissolves into the breath of Vishnu, the preserver. And when Vishnu dreams again, the lotus blooms anew, and Brahma awakens once more to begin his work. World after world, age after age, a cosmic heartbeat echoing without end. To those who look upon the world with mortal eyes, this might seem like myth, but to the ancient seekers, it was revelation, a vision of the universe, not as a machine, but as a living being, breathing, dreaming, and remembering itself. In the silence of meditation, they claimed to hear that very breath, the whisper of the sound of Brahma's creation, still echoing through time. And when they opened their eyes, they saw it everywhere, in the rhythm of the ocean, in the rising of the sun, in the pulse of their own hearts. Everything that lived was sacred, because everything was part of the one. As night fell upon the world, the firelight flickered across the faces of the faithful. The elders spoke softly to their children. "You are not separate from the stars. You are made of the same light. When you breathe, the universe breathes with you, and somewhere beyond the mortal veil." Brahma smiled, for in that moment, humanity remembered the truth he had always known, that creation is not an event, but a song, and every soul is a verse in the endless hymn of existence. Chapter 3. The dream of Vishnu before the first dawn touched the horizon of time when creation still trembled like a newborn flame. Vishnu, the preserver, lay upon the cosmic ocean, a vast expanse of stillness, where stars floated like pearls upon a sea of eternity. He was not asleep, yet not awake. His breath rose and fell like the tide, and from each breath, universes were born and dissolved, countless worlds blooming and fading like dreams within dreams. Upon the coils of the serpent Ananta, Shisha, whose 1,000 heads held the weight of infinity, Vishnu rested in serene majesty. His skin shimmered with the hue of deep sapphire. His eyes, like twin suns, held both compassion and infinite wisdom. At his feet sat Lakshmi, goddess of fortune and devotion, the eternal companion who sustained all that was good within the cosmos. In Vishnu's heart, creation pulsed the rhythm of existence. Every living being, every whisper of wind, every flicker of light was a note in the great song he dreamed. For it was said among the sages that all reality exists within the dream of Vishnu. When he closes his eyes, the universe dissolves into silence. When he opens them, it is reborn in radiant color once more. The gods and mortals alike are but ripples upon the surface of his divine vision. Yet within each ripple lies purpose, duty, and destiny. One day, as Vishnu lay in his sacred rest, a disturbance stirred the ocean. From the depths rose Madhu and Kaitaba, twin demons born of pride and chaos. They looked upon Vishnu's sleeping form and whispered to each other, "Behold, the dreamer of worlds. If we destroy his dream, we shall rule all existence." But as they approached, the serpent Ananta Shishaya lifted his heads and hissed, his gaze like fire. "Beware," he thundered, "for to awaken Vishnu is to awaken the storm of truth itself." Yet their arrogance knew no fear. The demons struck and the cosmic waters roared. Lightning flashed across the void. Then, from the heart of the storm, Vishnu opened his eyes, calm, eternal, radiant as 1,000 suns. "Who are you?" he asked, "to disturb the harmony of being?" "We are the lords of chaos," they replied, "born from the darkness of your own mind." Vishnu smiled. "Then you are me," he said softly. "For even the darkness has its place in creation." Rising from his bed of serpents, Vishnu expanded, his form filling the heavens. The ocean of existence trembled beneath his feet. With a single thought, he created a spinning disk of divine light, the Sudarshana Chakra, a wheel of energy that represents time and order. He cast it forward, and it cut through the chaos, restoring balance once more. The demons fell, and their bodies dissolved into the sea, their essence returning to the stillness from which they came. When peace returned, Vishnu closed his eyes again, and the universe continued its rhythm, a heartbeat echoing across eternity. Among the mortals, the sages told this story, not as a battle between gods and monsters, but as a parable of the soul. For within every person lies both Vishnu, the preserver of truth, and the demons of chaos, doubt, anger, greed, that seek to shatter the peace within. To live wisely, they said, is to guard the dream of Vishnu within one's own heart, to preserve balance amid storm, compassion amid cruelty, stillness amid noise. Vishnu's dream is not passive. It is the quiet strength that keeps the stars from falling and the rivers from forgetting their paths. It is the unseen order that guides a seed to become a tree and a child to become a soul. In times of darkness, when evil rises and the balance of the world trembles, Vishnu does not merely dream, he awakens. In every age, he descends to the mortal realm in a new form, an avatar, to restore Dharma, the sacred order of existence. Sometimes as a fish to save life from the flood, sometimes as a prince to destroy tyranny, sometimes as a humble teacher to reveal truth. Each incarnation carries the same divine essence, but a new message for its time. And so, humanity learned that the divine is not distant. It walks among them, suffers with them, teaches them through love and sacrifice. In the twilight of one such age, as the stars mirrored themselves upon the sacred rivers of India, a disciple once asked his master, "Guru, if Vishnu dreams all things, then what are we?" The master smiled and said, "We are his thoughts, but thoughts that can awaken." The purpose of life is to realize that we, too, are dreamers within the dream. The disciple pondered in silence as the river murmured beside them, the reflection of the moon rippling like the breath of the divine. And in that silence, he understood. To preserve the world, one must first preserve the self, not through conquest, but through harmony. Vishnu's dream was not about control. It was about balance, the endless dance between creation and dissolution, light and darkness, knowledge and ignorance. And as the night deepened, the stars seemed to whisper, "The dream is not separate from the dreamer. You are the eye through which Vishnu sees himself. Preserve your light, and the world shall endure." Chapter 4. The Dance of Shiva. When the stars begin to fade, and the worlds grow weary, when the rivers forget their songs, and the mountains sigh beneath the weight of time, a stillness falls across the cosmos. The fires of creation dim, and even Vishnu's dream begins to tremble like the last breath before dawn. Then, from the silence between two heartbeats of eternity, a drum begins to sound. Dum, dum, dum. The pulse is deep, ancient, the rhythm of life and death itself. It echoes through the void, and from the ashes of fading galaxies, Shiva rises. He is both terrifying and beautiful, the embodiment of destruction and transcendence, the end that gives birth to beginnings. His skin gleams like the twilight between day and night. His eyes are the abyss and the dawn, and upon his brow burns the third eye, the fire of ultimate perception. In one hand he holds a trident, symbol of creation, preservation, and destruction. In another he holds a small drum, the Damaru, whose beat is the heartbeat of the universe. Around his neck coils the serpent of eternity, and from his hair flows the sacred river Ganga, carrying life to the dying world. And then he begins to dance. This is not the dance of joy, nor the dance of sorrow. It is the Tandava, the cosmic dance that sustains and destroys all at once. Each movement of Shiva's limbs sends ripples through reality. With every step, galaxies collapse and are reborn. With every turn, the elements dissolve back into the void, only to be reimagined anew. The sages say, when Shiva dances, time itself dances with him. Around him, the universe burns and blossoms, dies and resurrects in an endless spiral. Flames leap from his hair, stars fall like tears, and the earth trembles under the weight of his rhythm. Yet in his eyes there is peace, for he knows that destruction is not chaos, but the sacred renewal of existence. In the ancient forests of the Himalayas, where the wind whispers like the breath of gods, hermits and seekers once sat in silence, meditating upon Shiva's dance. They saw in him not a god of death, but a teacher, one who reveals that to end is not to vanish, but to transform. They told their disciples, Shiva is not against creation, he is its purifier. He breaks what is false, so that truth may stand unshaken. To the unwise, destruction seems cruel. But to those who understand the rhythm of the cosmos, it is mercy, the clearing of illusion, the dissolving of ego, the burning away of ignorance. For what is death but the ultimate cleansing? And what is life but a temporary shape of the eternal? There are countless stories of Shiva's cosmic dance. One tells of how, when arrogance rose among the gods, they challenged him to prove his power. Shiva simply closed his eyes, and the entire universe vanished, not in anger, but in love. For he saw the suffering of the world and freed it from illusion. When he opened his eyes again, everything returned, fresh, reborn, renewed. The gods fell to their knees, understanding at last that Shiva's destruction is creation in disguise. Another legend tells of the time when the poison of the world, the halala, born from the churning of the cosmic ocean, threatened to destroy all life. None could bear its deadly power. Shiva stepped forward, calm and fearless. He drank the poison to save the universe, and though it burned his throat blue, he endured it with serenity. From that day, he was called Neelkanth, the blue-throated one, a symbol of sacrifice and compassion hidden behind the face of destruction. For Shiva does not destroy out of rage. He destroys to heal. At the heart of his dance lies a deeper truth, that the universe is not static. Everything that exists must one day dissolve so that it may exist again. And this dissolution is not tragedy, but liberation. In the temple of Chidambaram, where devotees worship his eternal dance, the priests say that Shiva's steps are not random. Each gesture, each motion holds meaning: birth, growth, decay, and renewal, the four eternal stages of being. When the dance ends, the universe rests. When it begins again, time is reborn. There is no beginning, no end, only the eternal rhythm, the heartbeat of reality. And yet, behind the cosmic grandeur, Shiva is also the ascetic, the yogi of Kailash, who sits in stillness atop the mountain, his eyes closed in perfect meditation. Around him, storms rage, yet he remains unmoved. Within him, the entire cosmos dances, a paradox of motion within stillness, of silence within sound. He teaches that every human heart contains its own Tandava, a dance of creation and destruction, of growth and surrender. To awaken spiritually is to witness that dance within oneself and not be afraid. For every sorrow that shatters you, every ending that breaks you, is also a beginning in disguise. In every death, there is a seed of rebirth. In every tear, a river returning to the sea. And so, the sages whispered, "Do not fear Shiva's fire. It burns only what is false. The truth within you cannot be destroyed." As the night of dissolution, Mahapralaya, draws near, Shiva dances faster, his steps shaking the pillars of the cosmos. The stars spin, the oceans rise, the mountains crumble. Yet there is no chaos, only the magnificent harmony of an ending that makes way for creation once more. And when the last note fades, when even time bows before silence, Shiva stops. He opens his eyes, and in that stillness, there is nothing but peace. The ashes of the universe fall gently like snow, and from their glow, a new dawn stirs, for even destruction in Shiva's hand is an act of divine love. As the sages say, in the twilight of all ages, Brahma dreams the world into being. Vishnu sustains it through compassion, and Shiva frees it through fire. In their dance, the eternal cycle turns, and the universe remembers itself once more. Chapter 5: The Wheel of Samsara in the Quiet Hours Between Birth and Death. When the stars flicker like fading candles in the endless sky, a whisper travels through the cosmos, the whisper of the wheel of samsara, the eternal cycle of existence. Every being, from the humblest insect to the mightiest god, is bound to it. It is the wheel that turns without rest: birth, life, death, and rebirth, an endless rhythm that binds the soul to time itself. The sages called it samsara, the wandering of the soul. For life is not a single story, but countless ones, written, erased, and rewritten upon the same page of eternity. Long ago, a young prince named Aruna sat beneath the shade of a Bodhi tree and asked his teacher, Guru, if the soul is eternal, why must it be born again and again? The teacher smiled, his eyes reflecting the stillness of a mountain lake. My child, he said, because the soul is forgetful. Each birth is a lesson, each death a remembrance. Until the soul remembers fully who it truly is, it must return to learn again. But what must it remember? Asked Aruna. That it was never apart from the divine, the teacher replied, that it was, is, and always will be one with Brahman, and thus the boy learned that life itself is a classroom built by eternity, a place where joy and sorrow are teachers, and where every choice echoes through countless lives. The law of karma. The sages taught that the wheel of samsara is turned by karma, the law of action and consequence, not as punishment or reward, but as balance. Every thought, every word, every deed sends ripples across the ocean of being. What we sow, we reap, not because a god demands it, but because the universe remembers. If one lives with kindness, the soul ascends toward light. If one lives with cruelty or ignorance, it descends into shadow. Thus, no one escapes the consequence of their own actions, yet no one is forever bound by them either. For karma is not a prison, it is a mirror, showing the soul what it must still understand. There were those who sought to escape this endless cycle, not through denial, but through realization. They called this liberation moksha, freedom from rebirth, freedom from ignorance, freedom from the illusion of separateness. To reach moksha is to awaken from the dream of samsara, to realize that the self and the divine were never two, that the river has always been the ocean. But few could find this path easily, for the chains of desire, fear, and attachment are strong. The soul, bound by memory, clings to form, to family, to power, to pleasure, to pain. It fears dissolution, not knowing that beyond the veil of death lies its true home. The wise said, "We are not punished for our desires, we are trapped by them." And so, the seeker must learn detachment, not as coldness, but as understanding, to love without possession, to act without expectation, to live without fear of loss. When the self ceases to cling, it begins to awaken, and when it awakens, the wheel slows. The journey of souls, the ancients saw life not as linear, but circular. They told stories of souls wandering through countless realms, human, animal, divine, each life a reflection of past deeds. Some were born as kings, others as beggars. Some soared as eagles, others crawled as worms. Yet all were travelers upon the same wheel, searching for the same light. Between lives, they said, the soul rests not in eternal heaven or hell, but in places shaped by its own vibrations. The pure dwell in luminous realms, the impure in shadowed ones, until their next journey calls them back. But even the gods, radiant and mighty, are not free from the wheel. For when the cycle of the universe turns, even they must fade and be reborn anew. Only the soul that remembers its oneness with Brahman escapes. Only that soul becomes liberated, beyond time, beyond space, merging into the still ocean of existence. The illusion of Maya. Like a dreamer who mistakes his dream for truth, the soul believes it is the body, the name, the story. It forgets that all forms are temporary, that what we call I is but a wave upon the sea. Maya is the veil that hides unity behind multiplicity, eternity behind impermanence. It makes us believe that we are separate from one another, from nature, from the divine. To pierce this veil is to awaken to Satchitananda. In time, Prince Aruna grew old and wise. He sat once more beneath the same tree where he had questioned his teacher, and his breath slowed until he felt no separation between himself and the wind, the earth, the stars. As he closed his eyes, he whispered, "Now I remember." And in that remembrance, he smiled, for he saw his countless lives not as a burden, but as a beautiful tapestry woven by the divine hand. Every joy, every pain, every death was a thread leading him back to the truth. Then his body grew still, but his spirit did not vanish. It dissolved into the golden light that fills all things, the light of Brahman, and the wheel of samsara, for him, ceased to turn. And the sages said, the purpose of life is not to escape death, but to understand it, to die before dying, and awaken to the eternal. When the soul knows it was never born, it will never die. That is moksha, that is freedom. As the river Ganga continued its eternal flow, carrying ashes and prayers alike, the wind whispered through the trees, all souls shall return home, for the wheel turns not to bind, but to remind. Chapter 6, The Path to Liberation. How may the soul be free? From the beginning of time, countless beings have walked beneath the same sky, searching for an answer. Some sought freedom in power, others in pleasure, others in wisdom. Yet all roads, sooner or later, led to the same truth, that liberation, moksha, cannot be found outside. It must be awakened within. The four paths the sages of ancient India taught that the soul may reach liberation through four sacred paths, four rivers flowing toward the same ocean of divine unity. Each path suits a different heart, a different mind. For the divine does not demand one way, but offers many, as sunlight touches every leaf differently, yet gives life to all. 1. Jnana, Yoga, the path of knowledge. The first path is that of Jnana, the path of knowledge and discernment. It is the way of the philosopher, the thinker, the one who asks, who am I, truly? Those who walk this road seek to pierce the illusion of Maya, to see through the false layers of identity, body, name, memory, thought. They meditate upon the sacred question, neti, neti, not this, not that, not the body, not the mind, not the emotions, not even the soul as an object. Through deep inquiry, they come to realize that what remains, pure awareness, silent and unchanging, is the self, the Atman, and that this Atman is not separate from Brahman, the ultimate reality. When knowledge becomes realization, the veil falls. The seeker awakens and says, I am that, no longer bound by ignorance. They dissolve into the infinite, like a drop merging with the sea. 2. Karma Yoga, the path of selfless action. The second path is Karma Yoga, the path of action without attachment. It is the way of those who live in the world, but are not of it, who work, create, and serve, yet offer all to the divine. The Bhagavad Gita teaches, perform action, but renounce the fruits of action. To act selflessly is not to reject the world, but to act without ego, to become a vessel through which the divine will flows. A farmer who tills the soil, a mother who loves her child, a warrior who fights for justice, all may attain liberation if they act in surrender, not for gain or glory. For when the I disappears from action, action becomes prayer. And when service becomes love, the doer and the deed vanish, leaving only the divine in motion. 3. Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion. The third path is Bhakti Yoga, the path of love and devotion. It is the way of the heart, for not all souls seek to know God through thought. Some seek to feel God through love. The bhakta calls out to the divine not as an abstract principle, but as a beloved presence, Krishna, Rama, Devi, Christ, or simply you, through song, prayer, and surrender. The devotee dissolves the walls of self. They love the divine so completely that they forget their own name. In that forgetting, they are found. The sages said, in love, the drop becomes the ocean. In devotion, the ocean becomes the drop. In bhakti, tears are offerings, and joy is worship. The lover and the beloved merge, no longer two, but one, forever. 4. Raja Yoga, the path of meditation. The fourth path is Raja Yoga, the royal path, the way of meditation, discipline, and mastery of the mind. For the mind is both the gate and the prison. If uncontrolled, it binds the soul to illusion. If mastered, it opens the door to infinity. Through stillness, the seeker turns inward. Breath slows, senses withdraw, thoughts fade. The body becomes like a mountain, the mind like a clear lake, reflecting only the light of the self. When the ripples of thought cease, the yogi enters samadhi, complete union with the divine. There is no longer, I am meditating. There is only being vast, silent, eternal. The integration, though the paths seem different, they are but facets of the same jewel. Knowledge without love is dry. Love without knowledge can wander astray. Action without awareness can bind. Meditation without service can isolate. True liberation comes when these paths meet within the heart. When wisdom guides love, love inspires action, and stillness nourishes all. Then the seeker becomes whole. Then the illusion of separation fades. The teacher and the flame in an age long forgotten. There was a woman named Devi Anaya who wandered from village to village, teaching those who would listen. She carried no scriptures, wore no symbols, only a small clay lamp. Each night, she would light the lamp and say, "This is the self, eternal, bright, yet hidden by the winds of thought." A disciple once asked her, "How do I keep the flame from going out?" She smiled and answered, "By knowing that the wind and the flame were never apart." That night, the disciple sat in meditation until dawn. When he opened his eyes, the lamp was gone, but its light burned within him. He understood freedom beyond the wheel. When a soul realizes its oneness with the divine, the wheel of samsara stops turning. Birth and death lose their meaning. There is no longer I or you, only the boundless awareness that contains all. Liberation is not escape from life, it is awakening within it. The enlightened one may still walk among men, eat, laugh, weep, but their heart rests in silence, untouched by joy or sorrow. They are like a lotus on water, living in the world, yet never stained by it. The world continues its dance, but they have already returned home. And the sages said, "He who acts without desire, loves without fear, and knows without pride, is free, even while living." Liberation is not the end of the path. It is the moment we remember that we were never bound. Chapter 7. The Dance of the Gods. Before the first sound was born, before the light of a single star, there was only stillness. From that stillness came vibration, a silent hum that grew into a sound. The first word ever spoken, Om. From Om, the universe unfolded like a lotus opening its petals. And within that sacred vibration, the three great forces of existence took form. Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer. Together, they became known as the trinity, three faces of one infinite truth. The breath of Brahma in the beginning. Brahma awoke from the cosmic ocean, seated upon a lotus that blossomed from the navel of Vishnu, who dreamed beneath the waters of eternity. Brahma opened his eyes, and creation began. From his breath came the winds, from his tears, the oceans, from his laughter, the heavens, and from his thoughts, all living beings, each carrying a spark of his divine mind. He whispered the Vedas, the eternal wisdom, into the hearts of the first sages. Through his four faces, he spoke the language of truth in all directions, north, south, east, and west. Each face told a story of creation, each tone a rhythm of life. But creation is not perfection. It is longing, exploration, the endless dance of form and formlessness. Even as Brahma built worlds, he knew that one day they must return to silence, for what is born must die, and what dies must be born again. The dream of Vishnu, while Brahma creates, Vishnu dreams. He lies upon the cosmic serpent, Ananta, who coils through infinity, floating upon the milky ocean of time. In his slumber, Vishnu dreams the worlds into harmony, maintaining balance between chaos and order. Whenever the universe falls into darkness, Vishnu awakens. He takes form among mortals, as Rama, the righteous prince, as Krishna, the divine lover, as the warrior with the axe, as Buddha, the enlightened one, and as Kalki, the future rider, who will end the final age. Each avatar appears when the world forgets its truth, to remind creation of the sacred rhythm, to restore Dharma, the law of harmony. For Vishnu's love is endless. He preserves, not because he must, but because he cares, for every atom, every creature, every beating heart. Even the smallest life is a verse in his dream, and to awaken is to realize we were always part of that dream. The dance of Shiva, but even dreams must end, for the wheel must turn. When the universe grows weary, Shiva, the Lord of destruction, begins his dance, the Tandava. He dances in fire, in storms, in silence. Each step shatters illusion. Each beat of his drum creates new worlds, even as it destroys the old. In one hand, he holds the Damaru, the drum of creation. In another, he holds Agni, the flame of dissolution. One hand blesses, another gestures, fear not. Around him, the stars swirl like sparks. Galaxies collapse into dust, and from dust rise again, reborn, renewed. For Shiva's destruction is not wrath. It is transformation. He burns, not to punish, but to purify. When he dances, ignorance dies. And when ignorance dies, truth awakens. In the heart of every being, his dance continues, the endless rhythm of birth, growth, decay, and rebirth. To live is to dance with him. To die is to rest in his arms. The power of the goddess. Yet even the gods are incomplete without Shakti, the divine feminine energy, the source from which all creation springs. Without Shakti, Brahma cannot create, Vishnu cannot preserve, and Shiva cannot destroy. For she is the power behind power, the silence that gives voice, the void that gives form. She manifests as Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom, who flows like a river through every act of learning. She is Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, who bestows abundance upon those who live in harmony. She is Parvati, the gentle mother and fierce warrior, who dances beside Shiva as his equal and eternal companion. And in her fiercest form, she is Kali, dark as the void, wild as the storm, draped in time and stars. When the universe becomes too proud, Kali awakens to devour its arrogance. Her laughter shakes the heavens. Yet when she gazes upon her devotees, her wrath becomes compassion. In her arms, death itself finds peace. The divine play, the sages called the universe, a Leela, a divine play. Creation, preservation, destruction, not as war, but as art. The gods are not distant rulers, but dancers in an infinite performance, each step guided by love, not command. And we humans, animals, spirits, are all actors in this same drama. Every joy, every loss, every heartbeat is part of that cosmic choreography. When a child laughs, Brahma smiles. When a mother prays, Vishnu listens. When an old man lets go of his final breath, Shiva takes his hand. There is no separation. The divine is not above the world. It is the world, the fire, the river, the silence between breaths. The realization: a wandering sage once sat beneath a fig tree, meditating upon the nature of God. After many years, a young boy approached and asked, "Master, where are the gods you speak of? I have searched the mountains and the skies, but I see none." The sage smiled and replied, "When you think, that is Brahma. When you change, that is Shiva. And when you love, that is Shakti." The boy closed his eyes, and in that instant, the entire universe pulsed within him. He saw himself in the stars, and the stars in himself. He understood that the dance of the gods was never outside. It was happening inside all along. The eternal rhythm: as the eons pass, the Trimurti continue their dance. Worlds rise and fall, civilizations bloom and fade, yet the rhythm remains steady, silent, eternal. It is the heartbeat of the cosmos. It is the pulse within every soul. And as long as that rhythm continues, life will find its way. The gods do not die, they merely change form, as do we, for the dancer and the dance are one. Chapter 8: The Soul and the Illusion. In the silence between two worlds, between birth and death, between thought and being, there lies a mystery that has haunted every soul since the dawn of time. It is the veil called Maya, the illusion that hides the truth of who we are. The veil of Maya. Long ago, the sages of the Upanishads sat beside sacred fires and whispered, "The world you see is not the real world. It is the shadow of a dream. The mountains, the oceans, the stars, they appear solid, eternal, but they are as transient as waves upon an endless sea. What you touch will fade, what you love will change, and what you fear will pass. Yet something remains. That which watches the passing of all things is the Atman, the eternal self. But between the Atman and the truth stands Maya, a veil woven of time, desire, and ignorance. It paints the infinite with the colors of separation, I and you, life and death, joy and sorrow. And under its spell, the soul forgets its boundless nature and begins to dream that it is small, fragile, mortal. Thus, the divine plays the grandest game of all, the game of forgetting itself. The dream of the soul: imagine a drop of water falling from the ocean. For a moment, it believes it is separate, distinct, alone. It floats through clouds, becomes rain, joins rivers, nourishes life. Yet all the while, it is still water, still of the ocean. So it is with the soul. Born into bodies of clay, wrapped in the senses, surrounded by the song of the world, the soul begins to believe. I am this, I am that, I am rich, I am poor, I am alive, I will die. And thus begins the dream of separation, the endless cycle of desire and sorrow, hope and loss. The soul builds worlds, fights wars, falls in love, creates art, and through it all, it searches for something it cannot name, until one day it hears a whisper from within: "You were never lost," the mirror of the mind. The sages said that the mind is like a mirror. When covered in dust, the dust of anger, greed, fear, it cannot reflect the light of truth. But when cleaned through meditation, compassion, and wisdom, it reveals what has always been there, the reflection of the divine. When the mind becomes still, Maya loses its hold. For illusion cannot survive in silence. In that stillness, the seeker sees through the game. I am not the body, not the thoughts, not the emotions. I am the witness, eternal, unchanging, infinite. This realization does not come from faith, but from direct experience, the way one awakens from a dream and remembers that the dream was never real. To awaken is to see that life and death are but different scenes of the same divine play. The shadow and the light, yet Maya is not evil. Without illusion, there would be no experience. Without shadow, light could not be known. The divine hides itself in form to reveal itself through experience. It is as if God became many so that love could exist, for love requires two. Even when the two are one, the soul descends into form, not as punishment, but as adventure. To forget is to learn. To fall is to rise. To suffer is to remember compassion. Every life, every death, every tear is part of the sacred process of awakening. Through joy and pain, the soul learns what cannot be taught, until, one day, it no longer needs to learn. The spider and the web, the Upanishads tell a parable. A spider spins a web from its own body. It crawls across the strands, builds its home within them, and one day draws the web back into itself. So too does Brahman spin the universe from his own being. We are the threads, individual yet inseparable. When the play is done, all is drawn back into the infinite. The spider is the web is the spider, as the soul is the world, and the world is the soul. The fire of knowledge in a distant forest, there once lived a sage named Rishi Devakra, who taught beneath a banyan tree. A young seeker came to him, troubled, and said, "Master, I see the world, and it feels so real, its joys, its pain. How can you say it is illusion?" The sage smiled, picked up a coal from the fire, and placed it gently in the student's hand. The student cried out in pain and dropped it. Devakra said softly, "Did the fire feel real?" "Yes," the student exclaimed. "And what did it teach you?" "That I must be careful, that fire burns." "Then," said the sage, "you have learned the truth. Maya is not false. It is real enough to teach, but not eternal enough to bind. The illusion exists so that wisdom may awaken within it. When the lesson is learned, the illusion is no longer needed. The awakening there comes a moment, after lifetimes of searching, when the soul stops running. It no longer seeks in the outer world, not in wealth, not in fame, not in love. It turns inward and sees the light it once thought was lost. The veil thins, the illusion trembles, and then, like mist before dawn, it fades. The soul remembers. It was never born. It never died. It was the witness of all births and deaths. It was, and is, Brahman itself. In that moment, all opposites dissolve. Good and evil, life and death, self and other, all melt into the single word, one. The smile of the universe. When a soul awakens, the universe smiles. A single spark returns to the fire, yet the fire remains the same. Nothing gained, nothing lost, only the play completed. But even in awakening, the play continues. For while one soul remembers, countless others still dream. And so, the awakened one walks among them, teaching, serving, loving, not as one who knows more, but as one who remembers earlier. He speaks not of heaven or hell, but of home. And those who listen hear not doctrine, but recognition, a voice that says, "You are already what you seek," the light behind the eyes. The sages left us with one final riddle, that which sees through your eyes, that which hears through your ears, that which knows you exist, is the same that looks through all beings. When you look into another's eyes and see yourself, truly see, the illusion fades. There are no strangers left in the world, only reflections of the same eternal soul playing different roles in the divine story. And so, Maya is not a prison, but a mirror. The world is not a lie, but a lesson in truth. Every illusion, every desire, every tear, all lead back to the source. The divine did not create the illusion to deceive us. It created it so that one day we may awaken and laugh, realizing that the seeker, the path, and the goal were always the same. Chapter 9. The eternal fire in the heart of every being. There burns a flame that no wind can extinguish. It flickers in joy and sorrow, through birth and death, through countless lifetimes. The sages called it Igni, the sacred fire, the messenger between mortals and gods. To the ancients, fire was not merely light or heat, it was life itself, the breath of Brahman, visible to the eye. It consumes, transforms, purifies. Through its glow, one can glimpse eternity. The fire in all things. In the beginning, there was darkness, endless and deep. Then came the spark, the first fire. From it came the suns, the stars, and every beating heart. Every flame on earth is but a reflection of that first light, the fire of consciousness. Fire burns in the stars above and in the soul within. It is the power that makes the seed grow, that turns ignorance into wisdom, that transforms flesh into spirit. When a soul prays, when a thought ascends, when love rises beyond self, that too is Agni, climbing toward the heavens. The sages said, "The world is lit by two fires, one that burns wood and one that burns ignorance, the ritual of flame." In the old days, priests gathered at dawn to kindle sacred fires upon the altars. They offered ghee, grains, and flowers while chanting mantras that echoed through time. Agni, carry our prayers to the divine. The fire would rise, smoke spiraling toward the sky, the bridge between earth and heaven. But the true meaning of the ritual was never about the offering of things. It was about the offering of self. To feed the flame was to surrender one's ego, one's desires, one's illusions, to be consumed by the light and reborn as pure awareness. The outer fire was but a mirror for the inner one. For the real altar lies not in the temple, but within the human heart. And the offering is not gold or grain, it is one's very being, the inner sacrifice. In meditation, the seeker becomes priest and flame alike. Thoughts become the offering, breath becomes the smoke, awareness becomes the witness. Slowly, the fire consumes all that is false, until only truth remains. There is a moment in the depth of silence when the seeker feels the fire touch the soul. It does not burn, it awakens. It transforms the heart into light. Fear dissolves, time disappears. There is no more prayer, no more God to reach, for the fire within and the fire without have become one. The fire of the gods in the heavens, the gods to revere the flame. Even Vishnu and Shiva bow before it, for Agni is older than they, the firstborn of creation, the tongue of the cosmos, the messenger of truth. When Brahma spoke the world into being, Agni carried his words into form. When Vishnu dreams the worlds, Agni guards the light of order. When Shiva dances the end, Agni is the fire that purifies all. In every divine act, fire is present as birth, as death, as transformation. The same fire that blazes in the stars burns in the eyes of the awakened. The same flame that consumes worlds burns silently in the still heart of a sage. The flame and the river one night, by the banks of the Ganges, an old mystic sat watching the reflection of a fire upon the water. A young traveler approached and asked, "Master, which is real, the flame or its reflection?" The mystic smiled and said, "Both, and neither." He picked up a torch and dipped it into the river. The water hissed, but the flame still glowed. "See," he said, "the river cannot kill the fire, nor can the fire destroy the river. They are opposites that complete each other. Such is the dance of the soul and the world." The traveler gazed at the rippling light and understood the soul is the flame, the world is its reflection. One gives form, the other gives meaning, and both are born from the same eternal source. The fire of compassion, as the seeker's inner flame grows, it no longer burns for self. It begins to radiate outward, warming others, lighting their path. This is the fire of compassion, the holiest of flames. The Buddha called it Karuna. The Vedas called it Agni of the heart. It is the same fire that moved Krishna to guide Arjuna, that made the saints feed the poor, that inspired sages to teach even those who mocked them. For once a soul remembers its own light, it sees that all beings are sparks of the same divine fire. To love another is to love God in disguise. The fire and the void, yet even fire, must return to its source. When the final act of creation ends, Agni will consume the universe, not in anger, but in completion. The stars will fade, the oceans will dry, and all that remains will be the great flame returning to silence. And from that silence, a new spark will arise, for creation never dies, it only breathes. As the Upanishads say, when all fires go out, that fire remains, the fire without smoke, burning in the heart of the eternal. That fire is consciousness itself, pure, luminous, unchanging. The awakening of light in that ultimate moment, the seeker realizes the fire that burns in the temple, the fire of the stars, the fire of desire, the fire of knowledge, all are one and the same. The divine never needed worship. It was always here, shining through every breath, every heartbeat, every gaze. The illusion was never darkness, only forgetting. The awakening is simply remembering. And when the last veil falls, when the final illusion fades, the soul becomes flame, radiant, free, endless. The eternal fire there is a story told by the ancients. When the gods first created man, they placed the secret of divinity not in the sky, nor in the ocean, nor in the stars, but within the human heart. For they knew that one day man would look everywhere else first. Only when weary and broken would he turn inward, and there, in the quiet center of his being, find the fire that was always burning. That fire is Atman. That fire is Brahman. That fire is you. Light is not something you find. It is something you remember. And so the soul stands at last within the eternal flame, not as a seeker, but as the fire itself, radiant, silent, infinite. Chapter X. The cosmic cycle. Everything that exists moves in rhythm, a pulse, a breath, an eternal dance. In Hindu thought, the universe is not a line from beginning to end, but a circle, vast, radiant, endless. Creation, preservation, destruction. These are not events, but states of being, echoing forever. This is the story of that eternal rhythm, the cosmic cycle, where even the gods are but dancers in the great choreography of Brahman's dream. The breath of Brahman in the silence before time. Brahman, the infinite consciousness, breathed out, and from that single breath, the cosmos unfolded. Galaxies spun, stars blazed into existence, and the earth awoke beneath the rhythm of life. Every creature, every atom, every thought was carried upon that divine breath, the pulse of existence itself. The sages of old said, when Brahman exhales, worlds are born. When he inhales, they return to silence. Thus, creation is not a singular event, but a heartbeat, a rise and fall, an expansion and return. Even now, as you read these words, you breathe the same rhythm as the cosmos. You are part of the divine inhale and exhale, a spark within the great breath of eternity. Creation, the dance, begins in the age of creation. The trinity arose: Brahma, the creator; Vishnu, the preserver; and Shiva, the destroyer. Each took their role in the dance, the trinity, the sacred threefold flame of the universe. Brahma sang the first vibration, Om, and the sound rippled through the void, weaving form from nothing. From this sound came time, space, and the first thought. Vishnu, the eternal dreamer, held creation within his consciousness, sustaining all things with his boundless compassion, while Shiva, with eyes of fire and heart of silence, waited not to destroy, but to renew. Thus began the dance of ages, the cosmic rhythm that governs all worlds. Preservation, the eternal dream. Vishnu dreams still within his cosmic slumber. The galaxies drift like lotus petals across the ocean of infinity. Every soul, every being is a fragment of that dream, alive for a moment, yet eternal in essence. When storms rise, when darkness spreads, Vishnu takes form upon earth, as Rama, as Krishna, as the voice of compassion that reminds humanity, remember who you are. You are not the wave, you are the ocean. Preservation is not about resisting change. It is the wisdom of balance, the harmony that allows light and shadow, joy and sorrow, life and death to coexist in divine proportion. The world is not meant to be perfect. It is meant to evolve. And every rise and fall is part of Vishnu's endless dream. Destruction, the dance of Shiva, when the music fades and the stars grow cold. Shiva steps forward, the lord of the dance, Nataraja, encircled by fire. He dances upon the ashes of illusion, his movements both terrible and beautiful. Each step crushes ignorance. Each turn births new worlds. Destruction in his hands is not evil. It is liberation. He burns away the false, the decayed, the forgotten, so that creation may begin anew. As the flames rise, time dissolves. All forms vanish into pure energy, and all that remains is the eternal heartbeat still pulsing beneath the void. In the dance of Shiva, there is no death, only transformation. The cycle of souls, just as the cosmos turns, so to do souls. Every life is a journey through samsara, the endless wheel of birth, death, and rebirth. Each incarnation is a lesson, a mirror, a flame that seeks to remember its source. Karma is the thread that binds the soul to the cycle, not as punishment, but as balance. Every action ripples through eternity, shaping destinies across lifetimes. But there is freedom, moksha, when a soul finally awakens, when it remembers that it was never separate. The wheel stops turning, the drop merges with the ocean, the dreamer awakens, and the soul becomes one with Brahman, infinite, formless, eternal. The end and the beginning, there comes a moment, a cosmic dusk, when even the gods grow silent, the stars dim, the elements fold back into the void. Brahma's voice ceases. The universe exhales its final breath. All sound fades into the single vibration. But that silence is not death, it is rest, the stillness before the next breath, the pause between heartbeats. And when Brahman inhales once more, the cycle begins again. A new creation, a new dream, a new play of consciousness within the infinite. The great awakening in truth. The cycle is not out there. It lives within every being. Each breath you take mirrors the inhale and exhale of Brahman. Each night you sleep and wake mirrors creation and dissolution. Each thought, born and forgotten, mirrors the rise and fall of galaxies. You are not separate from the cosmic rhythm. You are the rhythm. When you love, when you forgive, when you awaken, you are the divine remembering itself. And in that remembrance, the universe smiles. The eternal return at the end of time, when all that was has faded. Brahman dreams again. The fire returns. The dance begins anew. The cycle is eternal, but within it lies a paradox. For those who awaken, see that there was never a cycle at all. Only Brahman, pure, infinite awareness, playing hide and seek with itself through the forms of gods, stars, and men. The whisper of infinity in the end. The Vedas whisper, from Brahman, all things arise. Into Brahman, all things return. Brahman alone is real. The fire, the dance, the dream, all are the play of consciousness. You, too, are that play. The story of the universe is the story of your own awakening. When you finally see this truth, that the same light burns in your heart and in the heart of every star, then the cycle ends and eternity begins.